Everybody here okay? Sounds like it's going through okay. We'll start with introductions. I'm Tyler Nairmore, I'm the board president.
I'm Jim Haven, Vice President.
Rich Parks, Secretary.
Steven Spencer.
I didn't have it on, did
And then,
Do you want us, Sally Burbridge, City Administrator?
And I'm Kayla Cisco, the Eastward Alderwoman.
if you guys want to go ahead, and Brent and Steve and Derek, if you want to introduce yourselves.
Brent Young, Airport Manager. Steve Payne, Public Works Director. Derek Hudson, just Aircraft Owner.
All right. And then for the, do you all want to?
Sue Woods.
Yeah, sure.
Marion Curley.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our June 3rd, 24 meeting?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for June 3rd.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Moving on the airport update topic. I don't have much on this topic, but I wanted to kind of bring it up in case you guys also had something to add. I saw that we do have the transformer set. Is the power ran to it also? Everything powered up to the new hangars now, or?
Do you guys want to come to the podium? Sorry.
Oh, I don't want to make you uncomfortable or anything like that. You look pretty comfortable over there.
Thanks to Brent. Brent got out there, Young, our superintendent for roads and streets, got out there and trenched it in, and inter-county Dave Walker helped us get the line in, the transformer's set. I believe it is hot and ready for them to plug into. So we got to do a little more dirt work eventually to make it look nice, but he's packed it down as best he can for now. So yeah, good to go. We're ready for the final walkthrough that we have scheduled on the
Is it the 28th?
28th. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, I noticed they don't have the overhead door put in. That is part of the building plans, right? For
The overhead door on the hangars?
on the new hangar?
They're there.
Okay. No, the where the car bay is.
Courtesy car went missing.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm pretty sure that was part of the building plans, but I haven't seen anything sitting out there, so I was,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I
okay.
hadn't seen that either. I thought you were talking about the main hangar doors. I'm like, they're there.
Yeah, they're there. Yeah, they're most
so
definitely
I
there.
was out doing a walk around there the other day, so.
Brent, do you have anything you'd like to add up there? Any updates or?
Can't really think of anything.
Okay. I can't either, other than the new hangars, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Thank you, Steve. All right, so that brings us to our next topic, the hangar updates, the rates, and the policies. I sent out a notice to all the board members, and we did a little math on the square footage of the hangars. There's going to be 3 new hangars with the approximate square footage of 1,130, 2 hangars about 1,250 square feet, and then the big hangar is about 1,570 square feet. And looking around at some of the other airports in the area, 10 cents a square foot per month was a pretty fair average. And so that would bring our hangar rates to about 110, 125, and then 160 a month for the new hangars. Now, we're just an advisory board, but does the board have any comments as far as those rates to where we can propose this to the Board of Aldermen to be approved? Do we think that's a fair recommendation?
Yeah, see if I could. Yeah, I think that's fair for the area we're in. I think that's fair for the area we're in. Looking at the rates of the surrounding airports, of course, they offer a lot more at their airports, pilot lounges, different types of fuel. Their rates are higher, and of course, they have certain amenities in their hangars. So for this area, I think that's a fair rate. The 3 different rates are based on the size of the hangars, so they're 3 different sizes.
And that's the only fair way I know of doing it is by square footage, because there are 3 different size hangers. Would you like us to make a motion to approve that hanger rate for you? or-
Yeah, if you would like it to go
Okay.
before the Board of Aldermen for approval, yes.
Okay, because I know Tammy's gonna need something from us before, or she's gonna need some kind of a rate before she can send out the notice to
Right.
get the hangers filled, so. Yeah, do I have a motion to go ahead and recommend those rates that I've just proposed of 110 for the
Or do you want to
11?
leave it as 10 cents a square foot?
We can do that, 10
I mean,
cents a
that's
square
fine.
foot.
And that way it doesn't get confused later on as to how we came up with those.
Yep, that would be great.
I make a motion that we approve those rates at the 10 cent,
A square foot.
Per month.
yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
All right.
Aye.
Okay. As far as our lease goes, I'm happy with our current lease we have. There's a few things that we need to enforce a little bit better.
Okay.
One of them being, and Tammy's aware of this, the airplanes that we put in there must be based at Salem.
Gotcha.
So-
Right.
So that one's a really important one. You also created a draft for these,
Policies.
the policies. I really like them. Pretty
And I
much,
didn't- I didn't know if you wanted to leave them as a standalone set of policies, or if you wanted to incorporate them into the lease document. Because I saw some of the others that I sent out to you guys, those sample leases, they had similar language incorporated into the lease itself. The benefit there is then you're not trying to keep up with multiple documents, it's all in one thing. So
Okay.
it's up to you, we certainly don't have to. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
the only thing I would add for the way they're worded right now, we currently don't have any published emergency procedures.
Gotcha.
And then we don't have any way, the city, and I wouldn't ask the city to dispose of hazardous waste either. We don't
Right.
have any hazardous waste disposal. So that language could be reworded or removed.
Okay.
But otherwise, is the board in favor of adopting these policies to be part of our lease agreement? I know they're not part of the packet, but they're part of what we had as a draft. Do I have a motion to add, or any discussion first?
Can we update those if need be?
Say it would come before the board and.
Right, it would be
and-
the same
The
kind
same
of
thing.
procedure, come before this board, you guys would make a recommendation then, yeah.
Do I have a motion to adopt the policies?
I'll make a motion.
Do you want those 2 exceptions noted in the
Yes.
motion? Okay,
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, in our last meeting, we mentioned, I don't believe it was in our last meeting, I believe it was sometime after that, we mentioned turning there was a document we were trying to come up with to get the Schwartzinger relinquished to the city, and we were gonna get that to the city attorney. Do we know if he's got any updates on that?
I've not heard from him. Was that something we were creating? Forgive me, I just drew a blank when you said that. Or was it something
I'll have
we
to
had?
probably get with you after the meeting,
Okay.
and it may have been just a discussion between you and me, now that I'm thinking of it.
I'll
but-
text him right now and just
Okay.
see if he has anything, just in case.
Because if we can get that turned over to the city and get it cleaned up, that's gonna be a big task we can check off of our list.
Shirley told me as soon as they prepare the document, she will sign it immediately. She wants no interest in that hangar. She would like
Yep.
to have it out of her way as soon as possible.
Okay, so what we need is a document relinquishing ownership and turning it over to the city?
She felt like she didn't have any ownership of it to begin with. She said if she needs to sign for you guys, that she will. I asked her the last time she was in the tire shop,
Okay,
and she's like, whatever it takes, like, we just want, we don't
Okay.
want anything to do with it.
yeah, I mean, on our end, we'll need something that
Whatever
shows.
you need is what you need to give her, and she will be
Okay,
fully, she's fully compliant. She's happy to take care of the situation.
And I believe there was conversation of Attorney Weber speaking with Attorney Patterson, maybe?
Well, they had done that about 2
Okay.
years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, this conversation started,
Mm-hmm.
about the hangar.
Okay.
And at that point, it went nowhere. Yeah,
Do we have the contact information for Ms. Schwartz in case we need it? If not, I can give it Derek after and see what I can do to help out.
I think I've got it, Kayla.
okay. Okay.
So we've been working on this idea of coming up with a ground lease so that we can accommodate some businesses that would like to build out there, aviation-related businesses. And I've read through some of these leases that you've sent me, Sally, and they're great for where they're located. Do you know if we have any kind of a lease from the Airvac, when Airvac had a ground lease out there?
We'll have to do some hunting, see if I
Okay.
can find one.
Because that might be a really good starting point. We seem to have a good lease agreement with Airvac that worked.
I think the difference here, I guess it depends on what our intent is. If we're talking about somebody that's just gonna be based there versus somebody who's gonna have actual employees there during the day, every day, like I said, then we start getting back to the things that I mentioned at our last meeting, water, sewer, those kinds of things. And my apologies, I've not had the time to kind of research and see what our current well, do you know what I mean, just to check into what we currently have there and what kind of capacities those are. But I think those are gonna be our limiting factor, so it just kind of depends on what we're looking at. Because, yeah, I know the one lease I sent to you all is definitely for a large employer. And so it kind of depends on what type of business we're looking at doing a lease with.
And so, that's another thing I wanted to, another reason I was asking about Airvac, because they had their own, I believe they have their own sewer and leach lines, and then they had their own,
Their own,
I
Okay.
think, I don't,
Okay.
because I don't think the city would have any kind of a septic system, because that would be running uphill, so they had to had some kind of a,
I think the leach field is right there in front of the double wide by the looks of the ground. Correct me if you- verify the area.
okay,
I
so.
think the leach field, like you said, was closer to the highway. You are correct about
but
that.
it's not a separate system, is it?
Yes.
It is, an entirely separate system.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, I think that Domeyer hangar's probably on a separate system as well,
Okay.
the one that John Malady's in.
See, that opens up, to me, and just, it opens up all kinds of questions for me, because then we're putting in all these separate systems on the one piece of property. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's something to be thinking about to where when we, because we don't want to just set this up to where one business is there and now their leach field's underneath where we want to build another hangar, so.
absolutely, yeah, we need to get those marked and mapped out where they are, yeah, okay. Okay,
And also, you know, if we want to start having discussions with the businesses that are interested in doing a land lease like this and going from there also.
right.
Do you guys have any discussion about that topic? Have you had any conversations with anyone that's interested in building out there?
I have, but we haven't talked about any of that.
You guys have anything else you'd like to mention about the hangar updates, policies, or rates before we move on? All right, let's move on to our next topic. I'll give kind of a brief update as to where we're at with our fuel system. I guess it's been about a month ago. It may not have been a month ago. Our fuel system went down about the time that you guys were digging the trench, but that's not why it went down. You guys did awesome in splicing the lines immediately. Thank you, whoever did that. That's not why it went down. So it was showing out of order, and the reason it was showing out of order, in the logs, the card reader had been tampered with. Whether that means somebody got mad and hit it a good one, or if they were actually trying to tamper with the card reader. The card reader did exactly what it's supposed to do. It went into a little security mode and locked out. It is a paperweight. So just the card reader, not the entire unit. So that part is on order. It should be under warranty. The company would like to send a tech out to go ahead and verify the installation. I believe we're gonna try to turn this in on insurance. Is that correct? If we get a good statement and
I don't know, I hadn't heard anything about
Okay.
that, so.
I'd spoke with Joe briefly about it, and he said if we get a write-up going on it, we can turn it in on insurance, so,
Okay. Sorry,
no.
it's been the year of insurance claims.
That's, yeah, so, and that's all I've got there. The part is on order. We're waiting on it to come in so we can get a technician scheduled. I'll keep you guys in the loop also. If there is any cost to the city, I would expect that the insurance would cover it, so. That brings me to our next topic, accountability by security, being able to see that pump and anything. Okay, come on, Steve.
So I've been in contact with Mr. Rommel. We're gonna look at, I don't know if we wanna set a pole next to the pilot's lounge and put camera system looking at the gate. My thought process was the gate, the fuel system, and then out on the taxiway towards the hangars as best we can. We're currently working with him on some other camera systems, so as soon as I can get him over there, we're in agreement that that's a high priority to get that started, so. It just, things don't happen fast, unfortunately, with that, so.
And while you're there, the gate opener that we'd like to put on the Highway 32 entrance,
You know, I'm personally, and Brent and I have talked about this at length, I'm all for, if you want, you gentlemen want a gate opener, the community wants a gate opener, users of the airport want a gate opener, but I personally don't think we should just buy a gate opener and have our guys install it. I think it should be done by a professional fencing, gate people that do that type of thing, so that it A, has a warranty, and B, someone when it, because in my experience, I've had a few gate openers and they fail, and there's problems, and it's just good to have somebody that you can call that knows that system. So, I mean, I don't know. I think Derek's had a little better luck than I have, but, it's just, I would like to see us, if we're gonna do it right, do it one time, so.
I believe we put $5,000 in the budget allocated for the gate opener.
I think that's correct.
That would give us enough money to buy the system and have it installed, we think, so.
I would hope so. At 5K, we'd have to, we'd probably get 3 bids to make sure it's all fair and legal, and, if you gentlemen want me to move forward on that, we can jump on it. So put a request for bid together and see who comes out on top.
I'd definitely go for an industrial grade gate opener, like a LiftMaster or something like that. Is the board in favor with proceeding with the gate opener
Yes.
bid process? Everybody in favor? Okay. That will definitely help us with some security out there, because I've seen a lot of people that will show up, leave the gate open. Everybody here is good about it, but I've seen it open a few times, and
Right.
that will help tremendously.
Gotcha. I think the camera system would be a big
That'd be great.
deterrence to, further activities. The problem is, whether we put the cameras on a pole or we put them on a tripod on top of the building, the fact is anybody can scale a 5-foot fence, and the fence is right next to the pilot's lounge, and be on top of it, and then you can just,
I agree.
at least the cameras on the pole, we could keep them out of reach, so.
I agree.
Any other questions? We're security, gate opener, and what's below that, Sally?
Other business.
Before I go sit down.
Sorry. There you go.
Okay,
I didn't know where you were looking, so.
gotcha.
Do you have any other business you'd like to address? Any updates of things going on out there?
Derek, Mr. Hubbs and I were having a conversation about the Swartz hangar, and he's got plenty of info on kind of how we could work with the deceased owner's distant relative there and try work on ownership of it. We do want to get a hold of that. We do want to repair that as best we can and make it not such an eyesore. we're all about improving the airport, but as you know, we've had a rough go for 2 or 3 weeks here, and it just, unfortunately, on the priority pile, the airport's water and electricity are our top priorities, so I will work on it. It's going to be in the works. So
You're doing a great job, Steve.
I
Appreciate you.
appreciate it. Did you have anything, Brent? No. Okay.
I did speak with John Mahalka. He's been working with Rob Challens. He's the owner of the
What's the last name?
Challans is how he spelled it.
Okay,
He's the gentleman from, I believe, Wichita, Kansas that purchased the airplane.
okay.
And he said he's very interested in donating that airplane to the city. So we had talked about, how do we value the airplane? And I'd mentioned to him that when you go to buy an airplane, a lot of banks will tell you just to look at 3 different airplanes similar to what you're buying
Right.
and show that listing to them, and that gives them kind of a ballpark idea. So we might look into doing something like that for him when we go to value it, so he can write it off on his taxes.
Okay.
Does he have all the books?
All the what?
Doubt it.
The books that tell you how many hours are on the engines, that determines the value.
Gotcha.
The engines don't even match.
I was gonna say, that is one of my concerns right now. I don't know what the process is to transfer a plane like this. And we would wanna make sure that we have whatever process that is documented correctly. So I assume it's not as simple as a bill of sale, so.
It
It is.
is.
Oh, it is,
Yeah.
okay,
But-
well, okay,
Simple bill of sale, yeah.
Mhm.
okay. I didn't realize that worked for the FAA as well, okay.
So, I've had some concern about RC planes at the airport. Personally, I don't have an issue with it. As far as the regulations go, as long as you're not interfering with a manned airplane and you're out of the traffic pattern, which if you're at the legal height for RC planes, you're below that threshold anyway, and it's recommended you don't operate within a mile of the ends of the runway. So basically, stay out of the way of manned airplanes, and there's no problem there. So if anyone asks if it's illegal, I didn't see anywhere where it was specifically illegal.
So has
But-
this come up, Tyler?
It has, and like I said, I don't,
Is there anywhere on our airport that's more than a mile from the end of the runway?
no. So like
Okay.
if you're flying off the end of the runway and a plane's coming in, that's a
Right.
problem.
Right,
So as long as whoever's operating RC airplanes knows to, and they do, it's just a matter of if they don't, that's a problem.
Okay.
So I've had some concerns come up about, well, there's an airport and they're flying RC planes. Okay, I couldn't see where they were illegal. So that's just an issue I wanted to kind of bring to everyone's attention in our meeting.
so are they operating them at the airport or just on property nearby?
At the airport.
Really?
Should we put signage up in case somebody is not aware of RC regulations?
What about a ground air radio of some sort where
I would highly recommend that there be a,
some kind of, there needs to be some
Yeah.
sort of,
you know,
and
definitely monitoring the 122.9 frequency for the airport. And if there's anybody even remotely close coming in, I
All
would
right, so
ground
you guys
them.
have lost me. I don't know how this helps. I'm sorry.
just so that they can hear traffic transmitting coming in. So if you're on a 10-mile final in an
Gotcha.
airplane, like, you're not gonna fly around the airport to see what's going on.
Right.
You're gonna come straight in.
Straight approach, right.
So when you're 10 miles out or whatever it is, 8 miles out, you run it down, say, 8 miles to the north at 1,500, inbound for runway
Right,
17 or 35, whatever. But if they have a air-to-ground radio, they can hear you transmit, so they know you're coming. And I don't know if that's something maybe we put in the pilot lounge, they grab when they go to fly, or what that is, or what that looks like, but some sort of communication would be beneficial to all parties, I think.
gotcha.
The other thing is if you're going to lock the gate at the airport,
Right,
at what point are you gonna hand the codes out for the gates? for
Right.
people to come in and fly RC airplane?
right.
That's why we're leaving the walk-through gate open. I mean, not for RC planes necessarily, but for people who land there
No, that's what I'm
and
saying.
need to
I'm
get
just
out to
asking
the
you,
ride.
But there should be an exit on the gate regardless if you land there. There should be an auto exit.
That would be, if there's a gate opener in, those sensors will allow you to get out without there being a code entered, so.
There's just lots of mountains of flying around.
I wasn't aware there was RC plane traffic.
I wasn't either.
Like I said, it's not illegal, it's an airport. I personally, as long as they stay well clear of manned aircraft and don't create any kind of an issue for manned aircraft, I have no issue with it. But I'm just kind of bringing that up so everybody's aware.
Is that a popular thing for people to purchase RC air and bring? I just don't want somebody uneducated
Right.
to go to the airport and start flying and not aware of, you know, there's planes coming in or helicopter coming in that they need to get out of the way. I understand that probably the individual using it right now is very educated and knows what to look for, but I would hate for some random person to get their hands on an RC airplane and go out to the airport and cause some kind of accident.
Because they see somebody else doing
Right.
it.
Right.
And yes, so I'm 100% with Derek, you know.
Yeah.
I come in straight in like he's talking about, in my airplane, without full power in, it whispers when you're coming in. You're probably not gonna hear it. So somebody coming in, or somebody out there flying an RC plane, they're all into their RC plane and not hearing me coming in, that's gonna be an issue. And I'm not necessarily always gonna see them out there either,
Right.
so.
Well, and you
I'm
have
100
students out there. Right.
Yeah, I've got student pilots who don't have a lot of experience. They've got enough to safely land the airplane and fly, but they're stressed out enough as it is,
Yeah,
so.
right.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been flying RC planes there about 1981. Since then, we've never had even one close problem. Never even once, nothing. But we have sort of a code of professionalism, how we go about doing it. If there's an aircraft you see that's approaching the airport, you get the model on the ground. You don't operate a model while aircraft is taxiing out to the runway. But the other thing we do is that we highly encourage, the city could require, highly encourage that people have insurance through the Academy of Model Aeronautics, AMA. And the reason is that they dictate certain rules and such, and in 8 decades or plus of model airplanes, there's only been really 2 incidences where model airplanes have had a problem with airplanes anywhere in the United States. And in that case, it wasn't the model airplane pilot's fault, it was an air boss during an air, sort of like an air show. And they actually put a postal airplane out with the person in it, while the person's still flying the model, and they fly it. So 2 times in 90 years. We use radio to monitor the frequency. And I know Derek pointed that out before, and I said, you know, we may consider getting a 2-way radio. Now, the question is, and how would answer this, someone on the ground, do they have authorization to make a call out? They're not really operating the aircraft. And that issue for drones has been asked before, for other locations across the country. But as far as that goes, there's not been a problem. I would recommend, as just someone here, that there be signage purchased by those, whatever it needs to be, you want to have work, those who fly there, they pay for it, put up there and says, if you want to fly all airplanes, this is the rules. And this is the area you fly, and here's where you go. And because, like anything, there will be people, like Tyler says, that will see someone else do it, and then they don't know, and they go do it. And in drones, when drones came out, a lot of people never flew model airplanes. They didn't go to places where model airplanes were flown. They didn't learn that, you know, they started flying. And the FAA comes out with Part 107 and says, this is how it's going to be from now on. And it was difficult for a lot of model airplane people because they were already safe because they were around people who already knew the rules. So anyway, so that's, but I would say probably the city probably needs to specify what needs to happen. And let the modelers pay for the cost of anything, if they choose to allow modeling.
I'll have to get with you maybe after the meeting and see if you know of what kind of policies other airports might have for this. That way we have something to go off of, because I'm not up on the model airplane like you are.
Rolla does it at Rolla National Airport, where they're Class D until like 10 o'clock at night or something.
They have a closed runway they normally operate on, correct?
We used to there, But after 9/11, I recommend that we quit driving down a taxiway and crossing the runway. So that's just trouble. So they moved that model airplane club to their flights instead of driving down an active taxiway, crossing an active runway to get to an old runway. They moved it over off of that. And they almost have what's called FRIA through the FAA, but it's not. But it's an area designated for model airplanes, and there's a notice to the airmen that flying out there, the 50-mile airplanes in the air. But they actually have a letter from the FAA allowing them to do what they do because it's controlled airspace. It's Salem, it's not controlled airspace. And so there's no law against it. However, whoever operates the airport can dictate what happens on that land. They can dictate what happens in the air. So you have a neighbor flying model airplanes over the air near the airport. And the city can do nothing about it. As far as who goes on that property, what is done, the city can dictate. If you want model airplanes, if you want not.
So I just kind of mentioned that to bring it up, that it's happening, and like I said, I don't, as long as they stay out of the way of other manned airplanes, I don't have a problem with it.
Run into an issue, like, just for instance, does it change your course as an instructor if you go to pull your airplane out and they're out there? Does that make you want to leave our airport and go to touch and go somewhere else? You know, in the helicopter, hover work, things like that. You want to be courteous, so you don't stick around, you go somewhere else and do something. Is that going to deviate other people from using the airport more often? And I'm not, nothing against you, kid, I'm just asking from a, you know, do we put out a note that says, hey, there's a lot of aircraft here, and then people don't come to Salem Airport because there's a chance of, you know,
I've seen that at Vichy, and I've not flown to Vichy because of it before.
I'm not picking at you, please don't take that wrong. I'm just asking on the other side of the spectrum, like, is it gonna cost, you know, what does it do for that side of it? You know, if you show up to go fly and there's 5 people out there, you hate to be the guy that says, oh, you're gonna put your airplanes out, we're gonna do touch and goes for the next 2 hours. Does that make sense? Like,
Right, yes.
pushing that off.
It's just something we're gonna have to think about a little bit. I don't have the answers right now.
It's just a
Mhm.
question.
I can answer that. We had that at Houston, because we used to fly out the active runway there at Houston for many years, and then actually the city of Houston allowed to build all airplane airstrip on the airport property. It's on the west side of the runway at Houston. It's just a runway just for model airplanes, and they fly there all the time. They require AMA insurance, like I got. Because what it does, when you have a little bit of, when you've got AMA insurance to your name, you're saying, I'm gonna be professional. And so there, years ago, before we had that, when the airplanes would come to fly, they didn't stop flying model airplanes. Well, the reason why people fly model airplanes at airports is because they like airplanes. That's why. So when an airplane's flying, people like to watch the airplane fly. They're not really too worried about, I get to fly my model, it's like, I get to fly an airplane, see the airplane fly. So it's really not, I've never ever seen someone really ever get upset that an airplane was flying. One day we had about 2 hours of someone doing touch and go to Houston. And so we just sit there and watch, it was fun. So,
And we've got a grass area between the runway and the woods that perhaps we could think about doing something like that with in the future. It's probably not gonna happen right away, but,
Well, I
Just
cannot,
might add, years ago, we used the old city landfill, and we got permission, we built an airstrip at the landfill on H High. We had an RC, a model airplane club called Air 51 RC Club, and it was really good, but the problem was, there was so few of us that was mowing grass, we got tired of mowing grass, so we kind of quit using it. And a couple of years ago, we used it a time or two, and we thought about going back there, and the city would say, hey, you know, our lock is on the gate, just we can't get in because someone locked the gate, put the locks on.
well, and that would be another option if we wanna think about giving them access to where they used to fly again.
Gotcha. And we'd have to talk about that among staff. We are using those grounds for some other things at the moment, so.
I can honestly say, I've been out there flying, doing touch and goes when Kent was out there, and I never had an issue. It didn't stop me from, of course, I knew Kent, so I wasn't worried about it.
But it's really, you know, I've heard of people that's flown there before. And later I find out about it, and I don't know them from anybody. They just show up, blue, like it happens all over. I don't know. And as far as that goes, I mean, a gentleman here the other day got killed in an airplane accident, they didn't have a policy license. discovered there really isn't anything they can do if you don't have a pilot license. So you could have someone operating airplanes and the airport doesn't have a pilot license. And it's like, what do you do now? If they accept the certificate, then you can do something about it until they do. And I didn't realize that. So, it really is the city's property, and they can decide what purposes it can and cannot be used for. And so most people respect that. I don't ever see that and say, hey, we're going to enjoy this, we're going to fly right across the road. So,
Yeah, my biggest concern, Kent, you're professional, I have no problem, is when it's other guys driving by, they're like, oh, we can fly our plane out here, and they don't, they just went out and bought it last weekend, and they're gonna go out there, and there's other planes flying around, so I can see that developing into an issue, so that's where, professionalism and two-way communication would be key.
and having the insurance, the AMA insurance will take care of like $1 million, $2 million of damage. Derek has a nice helicopter. He is out there, maybe washed off a drive, and someone flies my airplane to it. I imagine you expect someone to pay for the damage.
Right.
So I don't see as that a person should be able to fly every day without insurance.
Does anyone else have any other airport business, any other business before we adjourn the meeting? Yes, sir.
One more item, I've reached out to a contractor and get a quote on actually having the stripes redone with the glass beams, having it done the right way.
Thank you.
So, and not that we couldn't get it done, but we want to make sure that's something that's so important, we want to make sure it's done perfect.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, those lines on the airport, they mean more than that's the center of the airport. There's 4 stripes at the beginning of each end. That tells you how wide the runway is. That tells you it's 60 feet wide. And you got the numbers that are very important because they, if we're shooting an instrument approach, we want to make sure we're on the right runway. It sounds ridiculous, but people land on the wrong runways with tailwinds and they have accidents. So,
One other thing, the last week of September, we're scheduled to do crack seal out there, which we want to do before possible paint.
So we might run short on time on getting paint done, but, depend on weather depending, so.
okay. That's good news, Brent. Thank you. Anything else?
Tyler, I have something.
Absolutely.
This board does not meet as often as my other committees that I'm on. And it's not a secret that I do have my house listed. And so if it sells, then I won't be able to be alderwoman anymore. But I want to take the time to thank you all. I have thoroughly enjoyed being with most of you. I might get emotional, but I've thoroughly enjoyed being with you guys for the last 4 years. What you guys are doing at the airport and where it started and where it is today is phenomenal. And I know, Brent, your guys have a huge part in that, but being on this committee has been more than just showing up and being here. It's truly been an honor to be aside you guys and see how far you've come. So thank you for all that you've done. But if I don't see you again, know that I'm very grateful to have been able to be a part of what you guys are doing.
Thank you, Kayla. I'm sure to sell because you're going to cut somebody a good deal on a loan somewhere.
Well, I can't do the loan, but
Is there any other business before we adjourn? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
All right.
All right.
Thanks for coming out, everybody.